Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Don't adjust your headsets. You are listening to the sports edition of the ODPH podcast. It has been a hot minute, but fear not. The dynamic duo is back in the studio, breaking down everything you need to know about the land of sports and pro wrestling. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, the newlywed himself. His name is Padawan J.
Well, let me talk to you.
Yeah, it's been a while since we talked sports.
It has.
I want to say it's been at least a month.
At least.
Because of all the craziness going on with your wedding, NYCC.
Honeymoon.
Yep, life in general.
Yeah,
Sicknesses. I mean, it's been a little crazy time here at the ODPH, but as I alluded to in the intro, fear not, the boys are back talking everything you need to know about sports. And I mean, obviously, if you want to talk more parlay topics, Pat, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing on over to the website. Everything has been updated. We have new links up posted for Blue Sky, for Threads, because unfortunately, our one home is not exactly a home anymore. So if you want to really capture what's going on with Pat and myself, you definitely want to hit those two links up along with the Facebook and Instagram, because that's where we're going to be hanging out from here on out pretty much. I mean, we're not deleting any accounts, but obviously there's been stuff going on that the algorithm is off, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. But fear not, like I say, that's probably going to be the word I say all the show is fear not, because we're not going anywhere. We're still bringing you all the parlay topics, and right there on the website is the links that you need to know, including the TeePublic Store link, the blogs, where we always have reviews dropping left and right, the classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 3FN Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative. Wish I could talk a lot more about what's going on there, but stay tuned, ... Also, the directory. Pad, how many providers are we on now?
We are on 989,348.
I don't question it, folks. That is why he is a statistician to the stars. Who's his source?
Trust me, bro.
So wherever you're listening to the ODPH, first and foremost, thank you so much for checking us out. Leave a review on your favorite podcatcher. It definitely helps the algorithm. And while you're also on the website, go get some great music, because we have a fantastic music section which promotes such bands as Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Second Suitor, Tom Jolu, Floodlands, Shout at the Robots, all amazing groups that donate their music to us so we can play all through the podcasts and streams, and it's a fantastic deal. So you need to go support them and go support everything that's going on here. And if we forgot to mention anything, because we do talk a lot, ODPHpodcast.com is the place to go for anything that is the ODPH. That said, Pat, I've been waiting to do this for quite some time. Let's kick it off and recap the NFL week that was. It's locks and leaps time.
Yes, so we're going to start with my lock, and my lock was the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Denver Broncos, which they did by the final score of 16-14. Patrick Mahomes led the way with 28 of 42, 266 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Bo Nix, 22 of 30, 215 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Audric Estem led the way for Denver in rushing with 14 carries, 53 yards, no touchdowns. Kareem Hunt led the way for Kansas City with 14 carries, 35 yards, no touchdowns. Kareem Hunt also led the way for Kansas City in receiving with 7 catches, 65 yards, no touchdowns. Also have no Travis Kelce, 8 for 64, 1 touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 for 56, no touchdowns. And then on Denver side of things, you had Cortland Sutton go 6 for 70 with 1 touchdown. Devon Valet, 4 for 39 and 1 touchdown. And then you had Adam Troutman go 1 for 34 and no touchdowns. Now, the reason I picked this game, well, it's Kansas City. Denver's so-so. I realize it's a division game, but still, Denver's so-so. And I realize a lot of people are sitting there going, NFL's rigged. Refs won it for the Chiefs. They handed them this one, and that's all fine and dandy. But if you haven't seen the highlight or seen a specific part of the highlight, I want you to pull up the play next time you get the opportunity to. Unless you're a Denver fan, you might not want to see it, but maybe you do. But if you watch the final play of the game, the blocked field goal that was, chipping distance, if we're talking golf terms, where the kicker should have made it very easily for Denver, but as we all know, kick got blocked. You can sit there and say, oh, the refs rigged it and this, that, and the other. But I want to point out, the entire left side of the Denver Broncos offensive line in that formation got pancaked
Yeah.
and run through like their wet tissue paper. So, did Denver lose the game? Absolutely. Did Kansas City win the game? Absolutely. But that's because their defense was better in that play.
In that moment in time, Kansas City showed up.
Yep.
But if you want to talk comparisons, this is the stat that translates this entire game, because it literally was Kansas City overlooking Denver to go and focus on Buffalo. Mm-hmm. They overlooked them completely.
Oh, yeah.
Denver defense, sacks 4, QB hits 9.
Uh-huh.
In comparison, Kansas City defense, sacks 2, QB hits 5.
Yep.
So when you factor in that difference, you understand that Denver's defense was doing something that usually doesn't happen to Mahomes, let alone at home.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting hit.
Yep.
He does not like getting hit.
Nope.
And that throws him off his game. So Denver stepped up like the division rival they are.
Mm-hmm.
They took the fight to them.
Yeah.
They got out there early, and I completely think that Kansas City overlooked them.
Yeah.
Because they're in this weird phase right now that they're undefeated.
Yeah.
They have the whole perfect season talk starting.
Yeah.
Now, granted, do I agree with it? No, but it started for some media outlets.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Slow news week.
Right. But that's in their ear.
Yeah.
And now they're all focused on Buffalo because that is the marquee game next week. No question about that.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that they just came in there and thought they'd be able to just turn on the old Chiefs magic and go.
Well, yeah, I think that's definitely part of the case, and I also think it's part of the case is like I said, Denver Broncos aren't good. They're sitting there.
No, they're awful.
They're sitting there at 5-5. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They beat the Carolina Panthers, although at this point I think you and I could find enough people to field the football team, and we could give the Panthers.
We could contend.
We could contend.
Yeah.
And then they beat the Saints, which at that point Saints are shaky. They're looking still a little shaky, but maybe at least a little bit better. And of their 5 wins, the only other wins they've got are against Tampa Bay, which okay, the Raiders, which okay, and then the Jets, which the Jets are we'll get to the Jets.
Yeah.
But so their losses are against Seattle, Pittsburgh, the Chargers, and Baltimore. So, it's a Denver team that's extremely hit or miss right now, and now, would I have been surprised if the coin flipped and Denver pulled off a surprising, I'll say, 10-point win? I'm not going to give them a full 2-score win. I'd have been like, oh wow, Kansas City might have been looking past them, looking to Buffalo, but Kansas City season. There's a reason they've been to, God knows how many Super Bowls at this point. 3. 3 Super Bowls.
They're a dynasty.
Yeah, they're on the cusp. They've been to 3 Super Bowls. They've won 2 of them. Mm-hmm. They're trying to go for a third, which has never been done in NFL history in the Super Bowl era, at least not that I'm aware of. Hashtag ODPH pod if I'm wrong. But this is what Kansas City does. They win the games, and they do it in a way that reminds me almost of the Tom Brady era, especially in those, mid to late 2000s eras, where it seemed like he was down and out. But realistically, at the end of the day, you could never count the guy out until the clock hit 0. I know some folks couldn't believe I was hearing this, and you might be shocked to hear this. Some folks were saying that Josh Allen was the next Tom Brady, and I'm sitting there going, As a guy who watched Tom Brady for pretty much his entire career, as much as some people might hate it, in terms of the closing out a game factor,
It's Mahomes.
It's Mahomes.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, I think we just have to look at this in a couple different lights. Mm-hmm. I mean, first off, Denver's 5 wins come against the Buccaneers, the Jets, the Raiders, the Saints, and the Panthers.
Yep.
So that is why I say that, in my opinion, they're awful.
Yep.
Because that is not a great win streak to be bragging about.
No.
So for them to show up and give Kansas City some fits, that was something. But we always harp about it here.
Mm-hmm.
Division rivals, they will always step up against their opponents no matter how bad they are.
Mm-hmm.
And Kansas City, which, I mean, I do agree with you. I mean, I think anybody saying about Josh Allen as the next Tom Brady, listen, as a member of Bills Mafia, I will dispute that all day.
Oh, yeah.
He's not. If you want to say he's the Peyton Manning in that kind of comparison, the rival to the rival is the only thing you can say.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be a very honest Bills fan about that. That's the only thing you can say in comparison right now, because the Bills have gotten there, but they can't get past Kansas City. Like I say, as far as a rivalry type goes, yeah, it's him and Mahomes. Sure, that's Brady Manning all over again. But Manning has never gotten, like he said, he's got his chance to get over the hump and get there and do what he needs to do. Will this happen with Allen this year? I don't know. It's debatable.
I don't know.
Because I think what's going to be the big test is what we see next week.
Yeah.
Kansas City is going to Buffalo. It's a 4:00 game, as far as I know. It's not flexed.
Not as of yet.
Right, which I don't think they're going. I don't think they can at this stage.
No, they can.
It's still
One of the games, I think it was last week maybe. I think it was the Indianapolis-Minnesota game got flexed into Sunday night.
Okay, I wasn't sure the timetable for that. So
I believe they can. So depending on what the schedule looks like, and I can pull that up, but depending on what the schedule looks like, it may or may not.
Yeah, because I think that's the ultimate question mark that we're going to see here. And the Bills at home against Kansas City, that is the true test to see about where Kansas City is going to be standing.
Sunday night game is Cincinnati Bengals at the LA Chargers. So probably not.
No, they'll keep that one.
With Joey Burrow versus Herbert, probably not.
Yeah, no, that's a marquee game, so they won't mess with
Weirder
that.
things have happened. Right. The other thing I want to bring up, too, though, is you brought up Denver's record and their 5 wins. I pulled up tankathon.com/NFL, which is real handy if you want to keep in track and keep up to date on who's where in the NFL draft order for the next draft in 2025. Of their 5 wins, they being the Denver Broncos, 4 of them are in the top 10 of the NFL draft. The 5th one, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are 14. So if you want to get real specific in top 15, well, all of their wins are in the top 15 of the NFL draft. The other ones are in, if we're talking NBA draft, they're in the lottery positions.
Yeah.
So it tells you all you need to know about Denver.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing you have to just focus on. Denver's not a good team, and this was a situation they could have stolen. They didn't. It is what it is. Now we're going to be approaching the marquee game of the month, I will say. I mean, I'm not going to say the season just yet, but I know a lot of people have this date circled on the calendars.
Oh, yeah.
But this has also become the norm in the NFL because they like to have these two teams face off in the regular season.
Yeah.
Because ever since the 13-second debacle, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So obviously we'll have a better.
It's the Brady Payton thing. Brady Payton had one good match, and I realize they had more than one, but in this instance, they had the one good game in the playoffs, and every year afterwards they had to have them scheduled.
Well, it's
took years off my life.
Oh, it's box office. I understand. I mean, you have 2 great teams going in, and I mean, I love how everybody is jumping back on the Buffalo Bills bandwagon suddenly. After the Baltimore loss, I thought everybody jumped off. So that's a topic for another week. But for what we see now, Kansas City obviously has Buffalo lined up, and then the rest of their schedule, well, that's going to be something for debate.
Yeah, so like you said, this upcoming Sunday, they're on the road playing the Buffalo Bills. Then you've got Week 12, they're on the road playing the Carolina Panthers. You want to talk about a dynamic switch there. Week after that, Week 13, they are at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. That is on Black Friday, so that's at 3 p.m. on Prime Video. And then Sunday, December 8th, Week 14, they're at home against the LA Chargers. That is at 8:20 p.m., so that is on NBC. For the Denver Broncos, this upcoming Sunday, they're at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Week 12, they're on the road playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Week 13, currently scheduled for Monday Night Football at home against the Cleveland Browns, to be determined. And then Week 14, they're on a bye.
Yeah. Well, like I say, a lot of football left to be played there, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Next up
was my leap, and I could not believe these folks were a leap. I realize they haven't been all that good, but still, given the way things are going, I was surprised they were leap, and I took them, and hey, ended up working out for me because the Miami Dolphins defeated the LA Rams on Monday Night Football by the final score of 23-15. Tua Tagovailoa, 20 of 28, 207 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Matthew Stafford, 32 of 46 for 293 yards passing, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Kyron Williams led the way for LA in rushing with 15 carries, 62 yards, no touchdowns. Devon Achane led the way for Miami with 12 carries, 37 yards, no touchdowns. For receiving, it was Jalen Waddle, 3 catches, 57 yards, no touchdowns. And then for LA, it was Puka Nacua with 9 catches, 98 yards, and no touchdowns. And now, got to give the Miami Dolphins their due. They were the only team in the NFL, FBS, or FCS in the state of Florida to win over the weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, spoiler alert, lost. Jacksonville Jaguars, lost. University of Miami, Florida, Florida State, UCF, South Florida, and FAU Along with Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M, and Stetson all lost. Miami Dolphins, only team in the state of Florida to win.
Well,
Good
sometimes
Lord.
sometimes the team gets lucky, and I think that's what happened here.
You're not wrong.
I mean, Miami is not a good team.
No, they're not.
Let's just face it. I mean, obviously, Tua coming back is a great sight to see.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see him performing at a high level. And for the Rams, I mean, they have been one of the most unpredictable teams in all of football.
I wonder if they borrowed some karma from the LA Chargers. Because
Well-
they're getting kind of that, like, the most inconsistent team in the NFC.
Well, they are turning into that. I mean, they had both Puka and Cooper in the lineup, so it's like you
Yep.
have your 1-2 wide receiver punch.
Cooper went 7 for 80, no touchdowns.
But still, I mean, you have your top 2 wide receivers, arguably the best wide receiver core in the game,
You can have that conversation.
and yet you can only put up 15 points.
Yeah.
Which was very, very shocking to see.
6 in the second quarter, 9 in the fourth.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's not like they did anything super crazy. 4 sacks for the Miami defense, 6 quarterback hits, 3 and 4 in respect to the Rams.
Yeah.
But it was a situation the Rams could have won this, but there was a lot of plays that I think they just took off.
It was a great night if you had Joshua Carty on your fantasy team.
Oh, yeah. He
5
played,
for 6 from long. Good Lord.
he played great. But, I mean, this was a situation I think Miami needed this. This was a desperation win.
Yeah.
I still don't think they're going to the playoffs by any means.
No, God, no.
But I think for them,
It's a good gauge.
it's a good gauge to see what they have, and especially if you get something out of Waddle and Jonnu Smith, who 3 catches, 45 yards, and the one, he just ran through defenders.
Yeah, he did.
Like, there was nothing, you could say about the Rams defense, except in my opinion, it looked like they just were not there on a couple plays, like for whatever reason.
And I think we got to give at least a little bit of credit to the Dolphins' offensive line here. Tua only took 3 sacks, and the quarterback hits, there were only 4.
Yeah, no.
So for considering the issues Tua has had, that's not bad.
Oh, yeah, completely. I will fully agree. Their line finally protected them. Great. I mean, it's what you should be doing. But I thought for what we got in this game, it was pretty well established. I mean, the Rams, you can't rely on.
Nope.
Because
These days.
No, Stafford's doing everything he can in his power, but I mean,
Stafford's also got a lot of mileage on those tires.
yeah, that's why I say you always hear him mentioned in trade talks. I wouldn't doubt that this is last season in LA. I don't know. I don't know where he goes. I don't know who you get as a replacement, but that's something we're going to have to watch. And for Miami, I mean, we'll see what happens from here, but I don't see them going on a 7-game win streak to make something happen.
I mean, listen, Stafford's in year 15 of his NFL career. I think the other thing that helps is just some of the losses the Rams have had over the years, especially on the defensive side of the ball, with Aaron Donald leaving and a whole bunch of others. So I think this was the inevitable. We knew the Rams had a very small window to win that Super Bowl. They did, and the window's closed. So we'll see what happens. Looking at the schedules for these upcoming weeks, the next couple of weeks, the Miami Dolphins this upcoming Sunday are at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. Week 12 at home against the New England Patriots. Week 13 on the road on Sunday Night Football playing the Green Bay Packers. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Week 14 at home against the New York Jets. For those LA Rams, excuse me. This upcoming Sunday, they're on the road playing the New England Patriots. God help me. Week 12, they're at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. That'll be on Sunday Night Football. Week 13, they're on the road playing the New Orleans Saints. And then week 14, at home against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, that'll be a real interesting matchup there for that one. We'll have to see. Now, switching over to locks and leaps for me, and I have to give credit to Brubaker's Muse, to the nerdy photog himself, Casey. They have been championing the Detroit Lions for as long as I can remember. And this is the first time in recent memory I think we can say this stat.
First time in our lifetime.
Pad, what is that stat?
They are the best team in football.
And they won a very gritty game against the Houston Texans. You got the stats lined up?
I do. So the Detroit Lions won the game by the final score of 26-23. Jared Goff led the way with 15 of 30, 240 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Good Lord.
Yeah.
That was ugly. CJ Stroud at 19 of 33, 232 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Then you had Joe Mixon lead the way for Houston in rushing, 25 carries, 46 yards, just 1 touchdown. Jameer Jahmyr Gibbs led the way for Detroit, 19 carries, 71 yards, no touchdowns. Sam Laporta led the way for Detroit with 3 catches, 66 yards, 1 touchdown. Also got to know, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 for 60, 1 touchdown. Not bad at all. For Houston, it was John Mechie III, 5 for 74, 1 touchdown. And then Dalton Schultz went 3 for 66 and no touchdowns.
Well, this game was not pretty.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination.
And if memory serves, 3 or all of those interceptions from Goff were in the first half.
Yeah, no, he played very, very bad in the first half. Houston is not a bad team.
No, not at all.
But I think for being the Cinderella story last year, I think defensive coordinators are game planning better for C.J. Stroud. Mm-hmm. And I think that he is making the best of what the defenses are giving him. And it's a weird situation of bend but don't break.
Right.
And I think you're seeing a lot of that in Houston. I'm not saying Stephon Diggs being out the season is the domino effect and their season is lost by any stretch of imagination.
They played well last year, and where was he? Oh, that's right. He was in Buffalo.
Yeah, so you can't fault it up to that. I think what you have is what Dan Campbell has built in Detroit and made this culture. Mm-hmm. He has really told this team it's us against everybody.
Yep.
And we will go in there until the last whistle is blown and fight. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did because they were down 23-7
oh boy.
At half. And they rattled off 19 unanswered.
Yep.
And with Jared Goff, who usually does not have this bad of a game in Detroit, I should say.
Yeah.
With 5 interceptions, the fact he pulled this win off, it's not great. It's not one they want to talk about, but at least it showed they had heart. Mm-hmm. And that defense for Detroit is still very good, even without Aiden Hutchinson in the lineup. They're still stepping up. They're playing very, very hard. Mm-hmm. And I think they know that this is the window.
Yeah.
And it's when you have teams that understand this, that is a very scary opposition to face.
Yeah.
And with the NFC literally being wide open.
At this point, it is, yeah.
You have to think if Detroit gets home field in the playoffs, who's going to go in there and beat them? Because Philly is not the Philly of old. Mm-hmm. The 49ers, we're still waiting to see what team really shows up. Mm-hmm. Arizona is a wild card that could sneak in there and make some noise.
Right now, they're the 4 seed.
Yeah, but you have to take a look at the rest of the league. And honestly, I think for the NFC, Detroit is a team I would not want to face in the playoffs, let alone in a home game for them.
So top 8 right now in the NFC. Number 1 seed is the Detroit Lions. Number 2, Philadelphia Eagles. Number 3, the Atlanta Falcons. And then number 4, the Arizona Cardinals. So there's your 4 division leaders. Mm-hmm. Number 5 is the Minnesota Vikings. 6 is the Washington Commanders. 7 is the Green Bay Packers. And then 8 is the San Francisco 49ers. Right now, out of all of those teams, who do I think could possibly, now I'm not saying they would win, but could I see, if the right scenario, pulling off an upset? I could see Washington doing it.
I could too.
Out of those other 7 teams, Washington's the only one right now that I'm looking at going, I'm not saying it's doable, but it's possible.
I agree with you completely. I think Washington is the biggest threat to Detroit. You want to talk about dynamic players?
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, I mean, what can you say about him?
He's him.
He will step up, and he is not afraid to get into it with Jared Goff and really put on a show.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take a look at Philly, and yeah, you can say the Hurts and company there, but then again, I don't think this Detroit team is scared of Philly.
Nope.
I think where that mystique of the Philly defense is not really there. And then you have to take a look at the rest of the NFC North, and with respect to our Green Bay and Minnesota fans that listen, do you really think that they can match up with Detroit right now?
No.
It's tough. Like, I think that Minnesota's coming back to earth. Mm-hmm. Even though they had that great start, they have not looked like the unstoppable team that they were at the opening season. Mm-hmm. Green Bay, I mean, I'll be honest, you don't really know per se what we're going to get.
Right.
But they're a very solid team. Like, when they get in the playoffs, I could see them getting past the first round, no matter who they face.
Sure.
It's just that second round, I think, is going to be a little tougher than they think.
So I'm looking at their schedule and the teams they've beaten. Their entire schedule, with the exception of, because right now Detroit is 8-1. So their entire schedule, with the exception of the Tennessee Titans, who's the only AFC team they've played. They've played the LA Rams. They beat them in overtime. They beat the Cardinals, Seahawks, Cowboys, Vikings, Packers, and Houston. Oh, they played the two AFC teams, but so they beaten the Packers, Vikings, 2 division games, mind you. The Dallas Cowboys, Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals, and the LA Rams. You look at the way that it is in the division; they're 2-0. Conference, they're 6-1.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, they've really ascended to the top of the rankings here, and rightfully so. Like, they're a very scary team because they're gritty.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to win ugly, and that's what this game is summed up as.
Yeah.
It's an ugly win.
Oh yeah, and it's an anomaly. I mean, I looked it up. This was Jared Goff's obviously the most interceptions he's thrown in a game, and it was the most he's thrown in a game since he threw 4 when he was with the LA Rams against the Chicago Bears in 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he's thrown more than 3 since being with the Lions.
3 is the most he's thrown with being the Lions. 3, a couple of 2s.
Yeah, 2. I mean,
a couple of 2s, and then a lot of 1s.
3s is the numbers that catches my attention because even the greats have thrown 1 or 2 in a game.
Yeah, he did it once with the Detroit Lions in 2023. That was against, ironically, the Chicago Bears, and then the other time was when he was with the Rams, and that was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2019.
Good win for Detroit.
Yeah.
A tough one for Houston. I mean, 6-4. I don't think this is the record they expected.
No,
but they will have some work to do if they want to really make a run in that AFC playoff race.
So the next couple of weeks for the Detroit Lions, this upcoming Sunday, they are at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Folks, that line at last I saw was about 13 points.
13.5, yeah.
13.5 in favor of the Lions, mind you.
Yeah.
After that, week 12 on the road playing the Indianapolis Colts. Week 13 at home against the Chicago Bears. And then week 14 at home against the Green Bay Packers. That's on Thursday night. That'll be on Prime Video. Then for the Houston Texans, this upcoming Monday, they are on the road, although they're not going very far. They're going to the Big D against the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Week 12 at home against the Tennessee Titans. Week 13 on the road playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then week 14 they're on a bye.
You know, looking at the rest of Houston's schedule, they could go on a good 4-game winning streak until they got to face Kansas City.
In theory, they should beat Dallas, but well, much like we'll get to them in a little bit.
Right.
They should beat Tennessee. They should beat Jacksonville. So they can at least rattle 3 off Miami. Coin toss.
Yeah, they could make a run. I think Kansas City is their next real big challenge. But
Kansas City and Baltimore. Although Baltimore's week 17, that's on Christmas Day. I'm not saying that's got anything to do with it, but it's week 17, so things could be racked up by then.
No, well, the same thing could be said for Detroit because they got Buffalo week 17.
True.
So there's a lot of moving parts happening there. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go. But our last game we're going to really highlight here, and I use the word highlight very loosely.
You and I will enjoy talking about this.
Oh, man. I think we have a new contender for the worst team in football.
According to tankathon.com/NFL, they would beg to differ on this one.
Well, this is now in the contention, we'll at least say, because in my wildest dreams, I did not think the New York Jets would be this level of bad.
I mean, I kind of figured it.
Well, I thought that defense would contend. Rodgers at this stage, we did not know, but Rodgers looks old.
Yeah, he does.
He looks very, very old.
Yeah,
now.
He does. Yeah.
And obviously, they've had a lot of coaching drama.
It's been a carousel.
So this is not playing in their favor.
No.
And this definitely showed on Sunday because the Arizona Cardinals laid waste to them.
Yeah, they did. They, as kids like to say, they opened up a can on them.
Yeah.
The Arizona Cardinals won by the final score of 31-6. Kyler Murray playing well, even though the new Call of Duty is out. I know. I'm surprised too. Kyler Murray, 22-24, 266 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, 22-35, 151 yards passing, no touchdowns or interceptions. Breece Hall led the way for the Jets in rushing. 10 carries, 52 yards, and no touchdowns. Trey Benson led the way for Arizona with 10 carries, 62 yards, no touchdowns. James Conner led the way for Arizona in receiving, going 5 for 80, no touchdowns. Trey McBride also had a decent game, 4 for 71, and no touchdowns. Keisha Karras, Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 for 54, and 1. Garrett Wilson led the way for the Jets with 5 for 41, no touchdowns. Also of note, Breece Hall 4 for 31 and no touchdowns, and Devontae Adams 6 for 31 and no touchdowns.
Well, the big takeaway from here is not necessarily the Jets being that bad, but Arizona running efficiently.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray has emerged as, I think, the quarterback the Arizona Cardinals have been waiting on.
Yep.
I know that obviously there's a lot of stuff that was going on with him past couple seasons, and to see him emerge in this fashion, I mean, if you're an Arizona fan, you got to be ecstatic.
Oh, yeah.
And plus, Marvin Harrison Jr. has given him a very great security blanket as far as if he needs to make a play, he needs somebody to really do something, he can throw it to Harrison, and Harrison will come down with it. That is why Harrison was taken so high, and that's something that he has needed, quite frankly, since Larry Fitzgerald left.
Yep.
So that all mixed together with James Conner, who has been running very well, and so is Trey Benson. They're putting together a very quiet team out there in Arizona that's going to make some noise in the playoffs. Now, how far they go is anybody's guess. I mean, I can't really kind of speculate. But just with the Lions, there's a big drop off.
Yeah.
Arizona will contend if they have to face them. I will say that they will give them problems.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to win outright, but they'll contend. But taking a look at the Jets, I mean, Pad, where do you even begin? I mean, I think it has to be Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, it has to be. I mean, let's face it, Aaron Rodgers is old. You know, there is a steep fall off once you hit a certain age, and around 40 years old. Some quarterbacks, it's a little earlier. Very few make it to the age of 40. You know, and Aaron Rodgers was great his last couple of years in Green Bay. Now, yeah, not so much. Now, can you attribute it to, well, he might not be 100% from the Achilles injury at the start of, almost at the end of last season. I mean, Christ, it was at the beginning of last season. Yeah, you might be able to attribute some of that towards that. But I just think this entire team is in a mentality of do this for myself, do this for my stats, do this for my contract and whatever bonuses I might have in there, and screw the rest of it, because on paper, this team isn't actually that bad if you just look at the straight pieces. Breece Hall, decent running back. You've got Garrett Wilson, who, when he performs well, is a good wide receiver. Devonta Adams, not the quarter receiver he used to be, but he still shows some flashes of brilliance. You know, and then defensively, this was still a solid team defensively.
Completely.
Last season, I realize I'm not the biggest Jets fan. I don't think there were wholesale changes in between the seasons that would have led to this big of a drop-off. But clearly, I think they ran through a rough period, and when you have teams that go through that rough period, the good ones will rally, the good ones will regroup, and the good ones will, you know, circle the wagons, as they like to say, and go onward to victory. This one, it just fell apart. I don't think there's a clear leader in that locker room. It's sure as shit not Aaron Rodgers. That much is for certain. You know, and I don't think there's anybody going, hey guys, listen, we're better than this. We need to get our you-know-what together and contend for this because our window is closing. And let's face it, this is what the Jets should have seen coming when they took on Aaron Rodgers.
Well, the problem is they want to make a big splash for the New York media.
Yeah, that's true.
And at the time, that was a good move to make.
Yeah.
Now, note how I word this. Good, not great.
Yeah.
Because it was high risk, high reward. You're taking a 40-plus-year-old quarterback.
Yeah.
That has had drama follow him for the past few seasons in Green Bay.
Yeah.
That there was problems that, led to him leaving.
Yeah.
So you bring him to New York. You get him pretty much every player he wants.
You basically give the GM a vacation in half of his duties and let Aaron do what he wants to.
Right. So he assembled this team. And obviously going against the former head coach, Robert Saleh.
Yep.
You knew there was problems.
Yeah. And
any time that you decide to start having issues publicly with the head coach, and you can say what you will about the hug or lack thereof.
Hug gate.
Right. And then obviously Rodgers bringing in his own offensive coordinator and
Hackett.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're disrupting the culture they were trying to build there.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't saying Zach Wilson is the answer, but I don't think Rodgers was either.
No.
So now you're in a situation where you have no choice this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to eat some money, and you're going to have to get rid of Rodgers. The question mark then becomes who steps in. And I don't know if there's somebody coming out of the draft that's supposed to be great there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that Dion's son from Colorado.
Right, Shador,
thank you.
Yeah.
Is coming out. So,
yeah.
And I know he's highly touted to be the first quarterback taken in the draft.
Yeah.
Now, could he come there and fix the problems? I think you need to get weapons around him. If Breece Hall is still there, that's a very solid piece to help.
Yeah.
But then that wide receiver core, I don't know what you get. I can't see Devontae Adams wanting to play with anybody else other than Aaron Rodgers.
Can you imagine being Devontae Adams right now that you left one you-know-what show with the the Las Vegas Raiders, and now you're in this shit show?
Well, the whole thing with him, and I understand his mindset about this. He was very close with Derek Carr.
Oh, sure.
That's why he went to
Sure.
to Vegas. He's very close with Aaron Rodgers. That's why he went to the Jets.
Yep.
And the loyalty there is now becoming his Achilles heel, because now you're stuck in a situation you can't get out of, really. I mean, I'm sure you can ask for a trade and see what you can get and what kind of value.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that market's going to be. I honestly I don't know at
So
this stage.
if some folks are smarter than us, hit us up, #ODPH pod. Rodgers signed a 3-year, $112.5 million contract with the New York Jets at the start of the 2023 season. So he's in year 2. So if he does end up getting traded in the offseason, it would only be a $23.5 million cap hit. So you need somebody with at least that much or more cap space, although Lord knows he could rework it, whatever else, and all this other nonsense. I don't know if he would get traded, in all honesty.
Oh, I don't think he gets traded. I think he gets outright released.
He could get outright released. I think, if anything, I think he retires.
Well, he should. I think there comes a point in every great player's mind. You know when it's when. Mm-hmm. Peyton Manning did it.
Yep.
Brady, well, it took a while for Brady, but
Brady got there in the end.
And I think Rodgers is the next one to do it, because I think you have to sit there and go, do I want to endure the physical process of preparing to play in the National Football League at the highest level possible?
Yeah.
At my age with my health injuries.
Yeah.
And I think at this stage, unless you are seeing something we're not, that team is not going to be contending for a Super Bowl anytime soon.
I'm looking at the list of NFL teams, and it's on ESPN.com when you hover over the NFL tab. And AFC East, they're good. NFC North, you can make an argument for Cleveland, but I think Cleveland's gone through the Deshaun Watson experiment, and they're not going to risk. They're not even going to go near Aaron Rodgers for anything. AFC South, probably not. Tennessee, maybe. You never know, but I doubt it. AFC West, Denver, but then again, you never know.
He won't go to Denver.
NFC East, well, they're good. They're all set. NFC North, no. NFC South, Carolina. If the Bryce Young experiment is over and they really don't think he's the guy and they want to risk it for the biscuit, as it were, yeah, maybe. NFC West, no, they're pretty much all set and good to go. So there's only maybe a handful of teams that you can make an argument for would look for his services.
You have to think about what teams are really bad that need a quarterback. The Giants would be in that conversation, but he won't go there.
They're still on the hook for so much money to Danny Dimes.
Yeah, they're in cap space hell. So that as far as contracts go, like there's no moving there.
They're in you're right, because it's a 4-year. There's a potential out after the for the 2025 season. The Giants might be able to get out from under this.
Well, it depends who's going to be running the team by then, because I think there's going to be a lot of things happening that last week of the season.
If he's not
wishing it, but
if he's not out, well, there's still another 2 years with another $90 million you got to pay the guy.
Yeah, that's why I say. I mean, they're going to be stuck with him unless they want.
There's so much dead cap spent money. Holy fuck.
Oh yeah, no, their books are a mess right now, in my opinion. So I think for them, that would have been the only option that would have made some. I mean, but note I'm wording this. It's some sense. It's not a great sense. Yeah. As far as the AFC, I mean, Cleveland, I don't think they're going to. In fact, I have a very bold prediction that I think they go for one Anthony Richardson from Indianapolis.
Maybe.
Because obviously with the drama going on there, I think unfortunately he needs to move.
He needs something.
Well, they're going to have to do something. But as far as this situation goes, I don't know. I mean, I think he just needs to retire and just call it a day.
Oh, I agree.
And then if you're the Jets, you got to just rebuild. You got to start from scratch. I mean, I don't know.
You're probably not going to get Shador if he decides to come out of the draft this year, but you got the number 8 overall pick right now. There's still a lot of time between now and the end of the season.
Yeah.
You can try and improve your position.
You can try, but I think at this season, I mean, it's
Tannehill's still available, although, again, I'll get to him in a minute.
Right. No, I mean, I don't think you have to take a look at backups and hope you get somebody. I mean, I could see them getting a Gardner Minshew to Band-Aid
Minshew Mania, baby.
Until they find somebody. But
wild on you.
But yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, at this stage, I mean, maybe a Matthew Stafford if LA is going to rebuild mode.
Yeah.
But a lot of question marks happen there, but I think the overall statement is the Jets are bad. They're really bad. They might be the worst team in football. and there's nothing nice to say about them.
Let's see. For the Arizona Cardinals, the next couple of weeks, actually, they're on a bye this upcoming week. So then they come back week 12 on the road playing the Seattle Seahawks. Week 13 on the road playing the Minnesota Vikings, and then week 14 at home against the Seattle Seahawks. For the New York Jets, this upcoming Sunday, they are at home against the Indianapolis Colts. They're off in week 12. Week 13, they come back. They're at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Week 14, they're on the road playing the Miami Dolphins.
Well, we'll have to wait to see how this all plays out now, but not a lot of hope to be had.
Nope.
All right, let's take a quick lap around the league and close this segment out.
Yeah, so for the Thursday night game, you had the Baltimore Ravens beat the Cincinnati Bengals 35-34.
Hell of a game. It's crazy that Jamar Chase and Joe Burrows were putting up fantasy numbers and still found a way to lose, but it came down to 2-point conversion, so what can you say about it? I mean,
always, it's always something like that.
But you know what? That's the AFC North. I mean, all four of those teams, even as bad as Cleveland is, Cleveland shows up for those games, so you were expecting some fireworks here. It did happen. I think the Bengals season is lost. Unfortunately, they're probably the best. They're probably the best 4-6 team in the league right now. Just putting it out there.
Terrible for me because I had them going deep in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Then for the Sunday game, the early game, the I'm sorry Germany game, you had the Carolina Panthers beat the New York Giants 20-17.
Yeah, that was a game.
I'm so sorry, Germany.
Yeah, that happened. We'll just leave it at that.
It did. You had the New Orleans Saints defeat the Atlanta Falcons 20-17.
Good division game.
Yeah.
The Falcons surprised they lost.
Yeah.
Because who is Atlanta?
What is Atlanta?
Atlanta took an L that they should have got a W for.
Yeah, New Orleans, work on your rushing defense. Robinson, 20 carries, 116 yards. Good God.
Yeah. The fact that
on the road.
The fact that they're putting up numbers like that is absolutely crazy. But I mean, it's division game. That's all they can really chalk that up to.
Mm-hmm. The San Francisco 49ers beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 23-20.
Ugly game. You want to talk ugly game? I mean, they were, I believe, having a little shoving match on the sidelines.
I think so,
involving the kicker, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Hashtag ODPH pod. And especially after Jake Moody missed 3 field goals.
Yep. 3 for 6.
Oh, not what you want to see this late in the season. So, ugly win for the 49ers, but I know they'll take it.
Yep.
And we have to wait to see how this all plays out for them if they're going to really make a run, because I know Christian McCaffrey is supposed to be coming back, but
again, much like you were with the Flash movie, I'll believe it when I see it.
Exactly. I'm not,
because he was supposed to come back Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not putting any stock in it. I mean, I think at this late in the season, unless you go to the playoffs, there's no sense.
Yeah. The Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Washington Commanders 28-27.
Crazy game here.
Uh-huh.
A late call. I know it got a little game changing, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this shows a couple things. I mean, Steelers are a real contender.
Oh yeah.
No question about that.
Oh yeah.
And then the Commanders, are the real deal. And I think Jalen Daniels is the real deal. I think he's the rookie of the year. I don't think there's any question of that. And then, I mean, where they're going to meet up, I think both are on the way to the playoffs. I mean,
probably.
But great game, but crazy ending with some calls there that made me go,
You want to talk crazy. Crazy's the NFL scheduler for giving the Steelers the schedule they've got. So, an NFL scheduler, if you're listening, hi. Good job, usually. We are currently we just finished week 10. We're going into week 11. The Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting at 7-2. You know how many division games they played this far? None.
Oh, God.
Their remaining schedule for the rest of the year. Hold up a finger for every time I name a division opponent, folks.
Okay.
Upcoming Sunday, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, and Cincinnati Bengals.
6.
They've got their entire divisional schedule the second half of the year.
That's brutal.
Good God.
That is brutal.
It's also wild they're in week 11 and haven't played a division game yet.
Yeah, that usually.
Don't believe me? Go to the standings.
That usually never happens. So.
Somebody must have overlooked something. You had the Minnesota Vikings defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 12-7.
Jacksonville's bad. They're real bad.
Mac Jones stands. Are you sure he's the guy?
Yeah.
14 of 22, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns or 2 interceptions.
Yeah, but the only thing I would be a little scared if I was a Vikings fan.
Doug Peterson, how you feeling?
Yeah, the Vikings. I mean, they should have definitely put on a double-digit win here.
Well, 3 interceptions doesn't help.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sam Darnold came back to earth. That's the only thing that worries me about them going to the playoffs.
Might have hurt his stock in any award races.
Yeah, easily.
You had the L.A. Chargers beat the Tennessee Titans 27-17.
Good win for the Chargers.
Yeah.
I mean, the Titans are bad. We know this.
Yeah.
So
2-7.
So it's good the Chargers curse did not find them.
Oh, then we get to the other fun one we get to talk about.
Oh, boy.
The Philadelphia Eagles opened up a can of whoop ass on the Dallas Cowboys by the final score of 34-6.
Dallas lost Dak for the year.
They got blinded by the light, to quote Elton John.
Yeah, Dallas is just a mess.
Yeah, they are.
That's the easiest way to put it. They're a mess.
And Dak is done for the year. It was announced by Jerry Jones. He's having surgery on his injured hamstring, and he's done for the year. So you're going to rely on Cooper Rush or Trey Lance. Or, let me throw this out there, there is a certain dude that's still a free agent by the name of Ryan Tannehill. So if you're not real faithful in Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, you can't always call in for Tannehill's services for half the year.
I don't even know if he would do any good.
Also, I can't believe the biggest story out of this game isn't just the Dallas Cowboys lost and Dak's done for the year, but the fucking sun.
Well,
the sun has always been an issue in that stadium. What the fuck are we doing?
Well, because it's high profile.
Yeah,
because it's Philly, Dallas.
Yeah.
It costs a game changing possible touchdown. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think Philly just imposed their will. Philly is the best team in the East outside of Washington.
Yeah.
I think the Giants and Dallas are both awful, and now especially Dak gone.
Yeah.
Dallas' season's done. Sorry, Dre Driven. I'm sorry. I am not taking a shot at you.
I think even he will admit their season's done.
Oh yeah, but that's the whole thing. I mean, Dallas.
They're currently 11th overall pick in the NFL draft this year.
Dallas fans, you can't be in denial about this. Like the season's a wrap.
Yeah,
and it is what it is. But there's always next season. I think McCarthy's gone.
Probably.
And then
the Micah Parsons stuff ain't helping. That's for goddamn.
Well,
sure.
that's the whole thing. That you can tell that locker room is running crazy right now. So that's not helping matters, especially with Dallas. So they've got some problems to work on.
Yeah.
I don't know who you get in as a head coach. I know they were trying to say Belichick. I don't think he wants any part of that.
I think he's having too much fun doing regular life stuff.
Yeah, it's weird.
Fishing for mermaids and all.
It's weird seeing happy Belichick.
He's real good at fishing.
Yeah, he is.
Then we got to talk our two teams to close out the segment, and let's start with mine because holy fuck, they won. You had the New England Patriots beat the Chicago Bears by the final score of 19-3. Drake May, 15-25, 184 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Caleb Williams, 16-30 for 120 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. DeAndre Swift led the way with 16 carries, 59 yards, and no touchdowns for Chicago. Ramondre Stevenson led the way for the Patriots, 20 carries, 74 yards, no touchdowns. Austin Hooper led the way for the Patriots with 3 catches, 64 yards, no touchdowns. And then Keenan Allen led the way for Chicago with 5 catches, 44 yards, no touchdowns. I think the standout moment for this game, though, is the fucking Patriots defense decided to show up. Good God. 9 sacks for 51 yards on Caleb Williams. And then you factor in there were 13 quarterback hits. Good God. Now, I will say, because I haven't been on the show, we haven't talked the Patriots since Drake May came in. I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
He's playing like this, and he's playing good. I won't say great. I won't say phenomenal.
He's serviceable.
I'm very optimistic because this is what he's playing like with an offensive line that I will admit is fucking terrible at times. And he's playing with a receiving core that's Austin Hooper, Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Boot, Hunter Henry, who's about the number 1 receiver right now.
Yeah.
Jermichael Hasty, Ramondre Stevenson, Jalen Polk, and KJ Osborne. Now, I realize Kendrick Bourne is coming back. He's still not there yet. He's our technical number 1. But our number 1 wide receiver on paper right now is a fucking tight end.
Yeah.
And he's playing like this. I'm optimistic. Get him a decent offensive line. Maybe get him a couple other weapons. And you know what? We might have something. I'm not going to sit here and say Super Bowl, and I'm not going to sit here and go, we're going to make the AFC Championship. But you know what? We might contend.
There's an upside to him.
Yeah.
There's a very big upside.
I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and unfortunately on the flip of the coin there, Caleb Williams.
Hey, maybe people were right about the doubts that they had.
I can't dispute that. I mean, the Bears' offensive line is non-existent.
Remember the line he had to the kicker saying, we're not going to need you to do much work this year.
Yep.
About that. Maybe that's because of all the interceptions you throw.
Yeah, He's just not ready for prime time, in my opinion.
Also of note today, as we record, the Chicago Bears have fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron less than 10 months after being hired.
That's not going to help him, especially developing.
Oh, definitely not.
No, definitely not something to look forward to if you're a Bears fan. But if you're a Bills fan, well, they did not fall into the trap.
They make you want to shout.
They do. They make you want to shout because...
Throw your hands up.
Yep. 30-20, a victory. Josh Allen, 22 for 37 for 280. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
James Cook led the Bills in running, 80 yards on 19 carries, 1 touchdown. Josh Allen, though, 50 yards running and 1 touchdown as well.
Ho-hum.
And Mac Collins. Mac Collins.
Yeah.
You know what?
Who?
No, legendary Raider, and his TikTok is amazing. If you have not gone there, he's giving life tips.
Okay.
Very, very, very cool stuff. Hollins, 4 catches, 86 yards, 0 touchdowns.
7th year, 4th round pick out of UNC.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, no, but I will personally recommend that. I always check his stuff out. He's a different cat. He's a different cat. On the flip side, though, Joe Flacco, 26 for 35, 272, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
I think any other team in the NFL that's not of the Buffalo Bills caliber might have won this.
Yeah.
But it's the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, 21 carries, 114 yards, and Alec Pierce, 4 catches, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. Sorry to take the stats from you there, Pat.
No, you're good.
But this game is literally just summed up as the Bills went in and did their job.
Yep.
Not the prettiest of games, but as we've said on this podcast numerous years, the Colts are the most boring team in football.
Yes,
they will lull you to sleep. And when the Bills jumped out early, I think they kind of set a high pace for the game, but the Colts did scrap, and that's the one thing you can't take away.
Oh, yeah, Flacco's going to do that.
But if you can keep Jonathan Taylor out of the end zone, I think that's a good sign considering their run defense is very suspect, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
So the big question now is going into next week. That's the marquee game. They didn't fall into a trap. They're 8-2. There is big implications with this should they win, because that would make them 9-2. And I believe that would, if everything falls right and Kansas City loses one more game, they'll get the tiebreaker for the number one seed.
Yes.
And I know that is going to be tough, especially with Baltimore being Baltimore.
Yeah.
But Baltimore also has, I believe, a few division rival games coming up.
I can look it up.
Yeah, so we have to factor that in, because that's the only other team I really see contending with the Bills at this moment. I mean, the Steelers will be there, but let's face it, the Baltimore has the reigning MVP in Lamar Jackson, in my eyes, and 3 division games.
Pittsburgh twice, and then Cleveland to close out the year.
All 3 of those will be tough. Even Cleveland, with whoever, James Winston, quarterback, that still will be a tough game for them.
I think the only thing working in Baltimore's favor is the Pittsburgh game is this upcoming Sunday, not later in the year, because good God, I don't want to play in Pittsburgh later in the year.
No, not in December. It's way too cold. Way too cold.
We know people have been to the Buffalo game in late December. It is freezing.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff to look forward to in this crazy NFL season, but Week 11 is a wrap. Or Week 10 rather is a wrap. So we're looking at Week 11 already. See, I'm already jumping ahead because that's how excited I am for next week's Bills-Chiefs game. But in the meantime, though, here's up on the hashtag ODPH Pod. Week 10 is in the books for the NFL season. Let's talk about your teams. Where are they ranking? And let's go from there, shall we? But first, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week, we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the Sports Talk on the ODPH podcast. And we are long overdue to talk about a familiar friend of ours returning to the Octagon this weekend. It is UFC 309. And Pat, who's returning?
The one, the only, the controversial, John Bones Jones.
Yes, our hometown hero, so to speak.
So to speak, depending on who you talk to.
Yes. So he is going to be headlining a big card hailing from where, Pat?
Madison Square Garden in New York City.
Yes, so the UFC returns to NYC with a loaded card. We're going to give you our predictions for it. So, Pat, let's get into it.
Yeah, so the first fight taking place on the main card is in the lightweight division, where you've got Mauricio Ruffy taking on James Lontop, I think. So Mauricio Ruffy, in, let's see, what is this? 11 professional matches, has a record of 10 wins, 1 loss, currently on a 5 fight win streak. His last loss was to a gentleman by the name of Manuela Sousa, for a federation that was not UFC. That was way back in November of 2019, so it's been a hot minute. On his opponent, on the other side, James Lontop is in, 18 professional matches, has a record of 14 wins, 4 losses, currently on a 2-fight losing streak. Last win was against Malik Lewis. That was back in September of 2023. That was for Dana White's Contender Series. Slightly biased in who I like in this because, well, James has got a nickname of Goku.
Yes, but I don't think he's going to power up on this one.
Probably not.
I like Ruffy in this one. I think Ruffy has definitely shown that he wants to make a name in that lightweight division. I think Lontop is going to give him some fits.
Yeah.
But I could see this getting stopped in the third by strikes.
I'm going to say second by strikes, and I'm going Ruffy too as well, because I'm looking at his fight history here, and he's not had a fight go any way other than a knockout, and that's including his 1 loss.
Yeah.
So the dude's got places to be and people to see.
Yeah, that's what I say. But I think he's going to get really tested, especially on the main stage. So that's going to be something to watch.
Absolutely. Then in the next fight in the main card, you've got in the middleweight division, Bo Nickal taking on Paul Craig.
Well, this is going to be a true test for one Bo Nickal. Obviously coming in on a very big fight win streak with his wrestling pedigree. I mean, it echoes a little Ben Askren in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Paul Craig is definitely ready for the challenge. Seasoned veteran, if you will.
Yeah.
So this one is going to be a question of, can Craig stop the hype train?
So Bo Nickal in 6 professional fights has a record of 6 wins, no losses. 2 of those wins are by knockout. The other 4 are by submission. He beat Cody Brundage in his last fight with a rear naked choke submission. That was at UFC 300. He beat Val Woodburn via TKO. That was at UFC 290 back in 2023. He beat Jamie Pickett with her arm triangle choke submission back at UFC 285 in 2023. He beat Donovan Beard with a triangle choke submission in Dana White's Contender Series back in 2022. He beat Zachary Borrego with a rear naked choke submission in Dana White's Contender Series back in 2022. And then he knocked out John Nolan in his first ever professional matchup in Jorge Masvidal, in a Jorge Masvidal federation of all things, in June of 2022. He does have an amateur record. He's 2-0 in that. So overall, all things considered, he's 8-0 in his per fight record here. So good Lord. Also found out, dude is ridiculously good in college. He has a collegiate wrestling record of 120-3.
Yeah.
Good God.
Bo's no joke.
No, he's not. Flip side, Paul Craig, 26 professional matches, 17 wins, 8 losses, 1 draw, currently on a 2-fight losing streak. Lost by knockout in his last fight at UFC 301. That was back in May, obviously, and then he lost via rear naked choke submission to Brendan Allen at a UFC Fight Night back in November of 2023. Last win, Andre Muniz, beat by TKO at a Fight Night in July of 2023.
This one, I think, is going to be very one-sided. I think Bo Nickal wins outright.
Yeah.
I think he's going to just maul him.
Probably.
I think the one thing is his wrestling style, like I say, is very dominant like Ben Askren, but he's more like Habib when Habib used to wrestle and grind.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of that. If Craig can land some shots and get some distance, I think he will. But I just think Nickal is on a different level.
Right. Paul Craig, for what it's worth, is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, allegedly, according to what I'm seeing online. So we'll see if that's able to hold up. But no, I just think Bo's wrestling is just on a whole other level. I'm not going to say like Habib level of good or even like a GSP like Lamprey kind of thing, but good Lord, it's good.
I will say this. I mean, the fights we've seen him go in, he's been very dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And until you show some kind of weakness in him, you can't go against him right now. I mean, that's the one. It's as wild as that sounds. It's the truth.
Yeah.
So now the question mark becomes, if he wins this, where does he go from here? Because you're 7-0. You're going to need to get a top opponent.
He's not in the top 15 right now as we record.
Right, but this could be a situation almost in a parallel to one John Jones.
Yeah.
When he came in and put together a hell of a fight streak.
Yeah.
So you now have to say, okay, if he wins this, where does he get or who does he get? And then that is going to be a very unique conversation because he has to get somebody. I would say this: if he wins, he has to get somebody in the top 5.
Okay.
It might seem like a crazy jump, but I would say if you read off the top 5 there, or top, I'll go top 10. We'll go from there.
So obviously, middleweight champ is Dricus du Plessis. Number 1 ranked fighter is Sean Strickland. Number 2 is Real Adesanya. Number 3, Hamzat Chimaev. 4 is Robert Whittaker. 5 is Nasruddin Imavov. 6 is Caio Borralho. 7 is Marvin Vittori. 8 is Jared Cannonier. 9 is Brendan Allen. And number 10 is Roman Dolidze.
See, here's the thing. Pending on injuries, because I am not sure if Cannonier would be the fight I would give him.
Cannonier, I'd say either Brendan Allen or even Paulo Costa. Allen, as I said, is number 9. Paulo Costa is number 11.
Costa would be 1, too.
Yeah. Outside that, 12 is Jack Hermanson. 13 is Anthony Hernandez. 14 is Shara Magomedov. And then 15 is Michael Pereira.
Yeah, see, you have to give him somebody in that discussion. I mean, Pereira would be an interesting fight for him as well. But I think if you're going to go top 10, like I said, and just depending on fights and injuries, because I can't remember when Cannonier last fought. So
I can look it up.
Yeah, so depending on when that is, that's where I would go to really see about the test for him.
Right.
Because I think you have to sit there and go, we have to give him somebody and really make some noise, and especially if you want to give him somebody inside the top 10, because I think Bo earns it.
Right.
I mean, Costa would make sense, too.
Cannonier last fought on the main event of a UFC fight night back in August.
Okay, so he would technically, depending on injuries and all that, be able to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I say,
that was a loss for Cannonier, mind you.
Yeah, so I think that would be a good fight for him as well. Like that's where I was trying to remember, because I'll admit I haven't seen him fight in a while, but I thought he fought somewhat recently. So that makes sense to do, unless you want to give him Costa. I mean, Costa is a box office name, and especially if Dana and company really want to get behind this kid, I think Bo would be a great matchup for him. I think you would give him fits. I think it would be a real interesting matchup there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait to see. But yeah, I like Bo Nicol in this one.
I do too. Next up is in the women's flyweight division. You got the number 9 ranked Vivian Araujo taking on the number 11 ranked Karine Silva.
This is gonna be a fun fight.
Yeah,
this is gonna be real fun. Ooh. I do like Viviana in this one though.
Okay.
I think Viviana's just got a little more technique. I think Silva is going to challenge her.
Sure.
And I think this one is going to be a decision. Like, I don't think, but it won't be a boring decision. Like, this would be a split of some sort. But I do like Viviana in this one. I think that she's really got a skill set that's a little like all around better.
Yeah. So in 18 professional matches, Vivian has a record of 12 wins, 6 losses, currently on a 1-fight losing streak, lost her last fight via unanimous decision. That was at a fight night back in February. Her last win was the fight before that, Jennifer against Jennifer Maia, unanimous decision win. That was back in October of 2023. For her opponent, Karine Silva, in 22 professional matches, 18 wins, 4 losses, currently on an 8-fight winning streak. Her last loss was not even in the UFC. This was in a federation called Katana Fight, which sounds all kinds of awesome, where she lost via unanimous decision. That was back in May of 2019. So I think for this one, it's going to end up being Karine Silva, just because you look at that run she's on. Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to definitely give some fits there. Like I say, it could go either way.
Right.
And that's why I say, like, I'm really emphasizing it. We're going to have a split decision here.
Probably. I mean, and you just look at the run Corinne was on, or has been on, in this run. TKO, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 submissions, 2 TKOs, and 1 decision.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It's definitely going to be a big challenge going forward, so I expect fireworks and, like I say, split decision. So we're talking either way on this one.
Then we got the co-main event of the evening in the UFC lightweight division, where Charles Oliveira is taking on Michael Chandler.
A lot of drama here. Michael Chandler has not fought in 2 years because he's been waiting on Conor McGregor to agree to a fight after they were coaches on The Ultimate Fighter. Charles Oliveira is trying to reclaim a run to the title again.
35 years old.
35 years old. The former champion definitely wants another shot at Islam Makhachev. This one's going to have a lot of storyline with it, so let's break down the records quickly.
Yeah, so for Charles Oliveira, 45 matches, 34 wins, 10 losses, 1 no contest, 1 fight losing streak, currently currently, as we record, that was against Arman Sarukin in split decision loss at UFC 300. Michael Chandler in, 31 professional matches, has a record of 23 wins, 8 losses, also on a 1-fight losing streak, lost to Dustin Poirier in November of 2022.
Yeah, so this one,
All the meanwhile, there was a little Connor thing, as we alluded to. Connor may or may not be there.
yeah, because I think Chandler has got the most to lose on this. He has everything to gain and the most to lose. He has to win this fight.
Yes.
Oliveira is going to be making a run for the title, and that's the only thing that I think he has to focus on, because at the end of the day, if Chandler wins, he has all the cards in his favor.
Oh, yeah.
If he wants to fight McGregor, he can go fight McGregor.
Yep.
And he's been openly vocal about it. That is still on the table.
Oh, yeah.
If not, he gets a shot at Machev. So he has more to stand up and do here.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt if he wins this, he doesn't call out McGregor, because McGregor, I would say, is going to be there.
Probably.
In any way, shape, or form.
Probably.
Like, I think he'll be there in some way. So McGregor's there. It's going to go. And
I wouldn't be surprised if we get like another Daniel Cormier, Brock Lesnar thing where he calls him out and he goes in the octagon.
oh, yeah, no, he's going to definitely do something for it. So we have to wait to see how this plays out. But I think as far as this fight goes, I think Chandler wins this one in a striking fest, because I think Oliveira is going to try recapturing the magic of when he defeated Chandler by TKO.
Right.
I just think that Chandler is going to stand in that pocket, and he's going to neutralize that ground game that Oliveira. If Oliveira gets him to the ground, it's going to be over.
Yeah.
That submission game is no joke for him.
Charles Oliveira, 34 wins, 21 by submission.
Yeah. So that being said, if Chandler gets tied up, he's done.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he's going to be waiting on it. I think he's going to time his strikes, and I think he knocks him out.
Yeah, no, I think Chandler's going to win. He's going to cut the promo of his life on Conor McGregor. If he's there, Conor will go in the octagon. And then if I'm Chandler, I tell Dana, I'm like, listen, I would love to fight Conor McGregor, but I'm not going to play around and wait another 2 years for him to decide what he wants to do. I want to fight Conor McGregor, and I want the contract signed in the next, I'll just say an arbitrary number, whatever it ends up being is up to him, 6 months. If the contract isn't signed within the next 6 months, I want a title fight.
Well, I think the only problem is that Conor has made sure that he runs the shots.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that. I just don't think we're going to see that.
Probably
I would love to see Dana say, yeah, you got 3 months to get this done. If you don't get it done, it's done. And we
Conor
never
has
talk
been
about
Conor
it
has been relevant, since he arguably lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and that was 2018.
Yeah, McGregor is just not the big box office star he used to be.
Yet he still had him by the you-know-what ever since.
Well, that's the whole thing, because he was the premier star of MMA for a window of time. But
that press conference or whatever it is they did, where they had all the champions and all of this on the stage, is one of the most legendary moments in UFC history.
Yes.
He was the main focus of that.
He was the main focus, so there's a lot of parts there.
Yeah.
But I think at this stage in the game, I mean, Conor only has a couple super fights he could do.
Yeah.
I mean, McGregor versus Masvidal is one.
That would be good.
And McGregor versus Nate Diaz.
Oh, God.
I think Chandler is a close one to try doing it, but I think at the end of the day, it's not enough to get the job done.
It's good for the fight fans. It's not good for the casuals.
Exactly. So I think this one, it has to go to Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
He has to win this one. If Oliveira wins, I mean, he gets another title shot at Machev, but I don't know how that goes differently, especially at his age now.
Then the main event of the evening is for the UFC Heavyweight Championship, with John Bones Jones defending his belt against Stipe Miocic.
Well, this fight has been a long time in the waiting, so we will have to wait to see how this all shapes up. John Jones, arguably the greatest MMA fighter of all time in some people's eyes, but outside the cage shenanigans have derailed the career many times that we don't even want to get into.
It's a long list. Go to his Wikipedia page if you want to find out.
So him fighting Stipe Miocic, longtime heavyweight champion, contender, I mean, who has not fought, though, in almost 3 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah. So this fight, obviously, is a good swan song for John.
Yeah.
Because I think that John knows his legacy. I think John is waited to fight a 43-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, Miocic.
42 years old.
Okay, so he's waited his time to fight Miocic at this stage. We don't know how the skill set's going to be. John has fought within the past year and a half, so that makes more sense for him that he would be able to do this fight. I think that this is going to be a striking fest as far as John is concerned. Miocic's only play is to get him to the ground and do ground and pound.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do that with John at this stage. I really don't.
Probably not.
Probably not. So I think this is going to be a short night. I would say this doesn't go past the third round.
I'm going to agree with you there. I think it's going to go somewhere in the third, maybe early fourth. Something crazy happens. But yeah, no, it's going to be John. I mean, John, 29 matches, 27-1. You and I both agree that one loss shouldn't count.
No.
If you haven't seen the Matt Hamill fight, go look it up. You'll see what we mean.
Yeah.
But no, this is John's legacy fight. I think this is John's swan song, and then John's going to go off and do whatever the hell he wants to.
Exactly. So I think this is going to be the real question mark, because I would not doubt him saying that he's done with the UFC.
Because he hasn't been real committed the last couple of years.
No, and I understand he has a new contract, but I'm sure he could get some way out of it. Because the only fight that interests him that I think fans would care about at this stage is him versus Francis Ngannou. Ngannou is no longer in the UFC. He's in the PFL.
Nope. And they've talked about doing a super fight.
Yeah, they still want to fight, but I mean, that's the only draw that John has left here.
Yep.
He's not going to fight Tom Aspinall.
No.
He's already made sure that is not going to happen. You know, if you believe all the reports, and I do. So I think in this situation, this is all for nothing. So, and I think the only one that, I mean, would be a long shot. I mean, you could see it in Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
I mean, would you imagine if Pereira?
That'd be a real long shot, though.
Yeah, but I mean, Pereira has been known to jump weight classes. I mean, I think that's the only box office one he could do. But then that'd be an easy fight for John because Pereira can't wrestle on the ground.
Yep.
So I don't know. Like I say, that there's a couple different ways to go, but I think this is gonna be the swan song for John as far as the UFC goes. And then where we go from here is literally anybody's guess. A lot of storylines happening in UFC 305 or 309 rather. So definitely hit us up on the hashtag ODPH pod. What is your predictions for the big fight night at New York City this weekend? We definitely want to talk about it. So hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sidemen Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about. First, which is baseball related. Hey, since we're back, congratulations to the LA Dodgers for winning the World Series. Clearly the better team, and you actually got your parade because they won the World Series in 2020, and obviously because 2020 they didn't get a parade. But hey, they finally got one. And shout out to the one guy who got fired because he got spotted at the LA Dodgers victory parade when he called when he called in for work. Good job.
I mean, I can't fault him on that.
No, I can't either.
I mean, I don't encourage it, so wherever you're listening to us from, we do not encourage you doing that, but
Nope.
But it is what it is.
But some other news, we do have an update on what is the status or lack thereof of the Tampa Bay Rays home, Tropicana Field, after it got hit by the hurricane last month. So reading from an article on ESPN.com, basically what the story is there's been a detailed assessment of the damage done to Tropicana Field, and that the building is structurally sound and can be repaired to the price tag of about $55.7 million. Other issue, it won't be ready until the 2026 season. So there's a 412-page report that was released on Tuesday by the city of St. Petersburg, which owns the building, and they basically found that it was, quote, does not appear to have been adversely affected, but close quote, by Hurricane Milton's winds. The report did go on to say, quote, the primary structure is serviceable and capable of supporting a replacement tension membrane fabric roof, close quote. So, what does this mean for the Tampa Bay Rays? Well, they're going to be looking for a home right now. I know the rumors have been floated out of them splitting time with the Florida Marlins at their home ballpark because it's, right down the road, a little bit down the road. That could be an issue. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they take up with a baseball facility in the area. I know the Oakland Coliseum was thrown out, but I believe that one's already been rented out for the year to somebody else, so that one's not available. The Montreal Expos Stadium was expressed as a possibility, but unfortunately, that stadium is in the same position the Tampa Bay Rays one is, in that it's going through a roof repair and that it won't be available until the 2028 year. So where the hell they're going to play? Well, it's anybody's guess. But hey, they don't need a new home in the immediate future. They got theirs will be good.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, very interesting situation happening on there. Just hope everybody's obviously safe and recovering. Because, I mean, hurricanes are no joke. Absolutely. Then we do have some award finalists for the Major League Baseball season. Now, these votes have already been voted on. The voting was concluded at the end of the regular season. So odds are there's somebody someplace who might know, somebody somewhere who might know the results because they had to be tabulated and all that. But we do know the finalists for the baseball awards. For AL Manager of the Year, your finalists are AJ Hinch of the Detroit Tigers, Matt Quattaro of the Kansas City Royals, and Stephen Vogt of the Cleveland Guardians. I'm going to say probably out of those bunch, probably Stephen Vogt. He's got my vote.
He's a first-year manager and got the Cleveland Guardians to a surprise division win. And hell, made it to the American League Championship Series and made a hell of a fight out of things because you never know. For the NL Manager of the Year, the finalists are Carlos Mendoza of the New York Mets, Pat Murphy of the Milwaukee Brewers, and Mike Schilt of the San Diego Padres. Much as this pains me to say this, I'm going to say Mendoza. He's not because he's a former Yankee bench coach, but first year manager, led the New York Mets and started the season 0-5, and then they were 11 games under 500 in June, and yet still won them around with the whole Grimace and Hawk Tua girl and OMG and all the other nonsense that was going on with that. They still made it into the playoffs. So I'm going to say probably Mendoza.
No, it should go to Grimace. Grimace is the key reason that they turned that season around. You can't tell me otherwise.
Oh, so we'll see. For the American League Rookie of the Year award, your finalists are from the Baltimore Orioles, outfielder Colton Cowser, right-handed pitcher from the New York Yankees, Luis Hill, and also catcher from the New York Yankees, Austin Wells.
I mean, I would go with Wells.
I'm all right with Wells. I'm thinking it's going to end up being Luis Hill just because he had a phenomenal start of the year, and he actually did fairly well for himself. He finished with a 3.50 ERA and a strikeout rate of 26.8%, over 29 starts for the Yankees. So Wells, good pick. If he gets it, I'm not mad about it, but I'm going to say probably Hill. For the National League Rookie of the Year finals, listen, I'm going to read two other names, and the third name is going to be painfully obvious who's going to get it just because the writers have a love fest with this guy. First nominee is Jackson Chourio of the Milwaukee Brewers. Next is center fielder for the San Diego Padres, Jackson Merrill. And thirdly is the right-handed pitcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates, Paul Skeens.
Skeens all day.
Yeah, listen, he had a great year. He had a 1.96 ERA and he was 4 strikeouts behind Shoto Imanga for the rookie strikeout lead. He was also the first rookie pitcher to have 170 strikeouts and a sub-2 ERA since earned runs became an official stat in 1913. And he also joined the late Marlins star Jose Fernandez as the only rookies in the past 35 years with double-digit wins and at least 150 strikeouts and a sub-2.50 ERA. Listen, it's going to be Paul Skeens.
It's him.
Let's
We don't even need to waste time on that.
American League Cy Young Award winner finalists from the Cleveland Guardians, Emmanuel Clase, Seth Lugo from the Kansas City Royals, and Tariq Skubal from the Detroit Tigers. Listen, two of those pitchers are very good. Although if you're Emmanuel Clase in the playoffs, not so much. Seth Lugo, also very good. I'm going to say Tariq Skubal, though, because he won the American League triple pitching crown. He led the league in wins, 18, earned runs with average with 2.9, and strikeouts with 228, which also led Major League Baseball. So, listen, when you win 3 categories in pitching for the American League, you're probably going to win the Cy Young Award.
When you win the Triple Crown, it's done. So, yeah, he's got that locked.
For the National League Cy Young Award, your finalists are from the Atlanta Braves, Chris Sale. Which, hey, shout out for him for having a great comeback season, renaissance, if you will, in his age 35 year. Led the majors with 18 wins and a 2.38 ERA. So, hey, congratulations to him. Paul Skeens from the Pittsburgh Pirates and Zach Wheeler from the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm going to say probably Chris Sale just because, hey, love a feel-good story.
I'll go Skeens.
That's fair. For the American League Most Valuable Player Award from the New York Yankees, it is center fielder Aaron Judge. Also from the New York Yankees, right fielder Juan Soto. And from the Kansas City Royals, shortstop Bobby Witt Jr.
It's Soto. Let's be honest.
I'm going to say it's probably going to be Judge.
But then again, I count postseason in there too.
Well, see, the thing is, postseason doesn't come into factor because these votes are concluded before the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
Postseason doesn't factor into this. So, Judge, 58 home runs, higher OPS, higher OPS plus, one more total base than his 2022 MVP season. He led in at one point he had a sextuple triple crown going. So, listen, so if you want to talk from straight meaning of the term most valuable player, it's Juan Soto, but it's probably going to go to Judge.
I know the Yankees are hoping it's Judge because they don't want to have to throw another $20 million to Soto in the contract that he wants that. So.
Yeah, this is true. And then lastly, certainly not least, from the National League, the most valuable player finalists are from the New York Mets, shortstop Francisco Lindor, from the Arizona Diamondbacks, second baseman Ketel Marte, And shocking to absolutely no one, who is probably going to be your winner, designated hitter from the LA Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani.
It's Ohtani.
It's Ohtani, first ever 50-50 season. He
Yeah.
had 54 home runs, 59 stolen bases. Led the National League in runs, 134. 54 home runs, 130 runs batted in, an on-base percentage of 390, slugging percentage of 646, which is fucking ridiculous, mind you. 411 total bases. I mean, listen, he did all this, and he had a ridiculous wins above replacement without pitching. As much as I hate the love fest that the guy gets, it's deserved.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's all right because when Soto's in pinstripes next year, it's going to make up for it, and then
This
he's
is
going to be
true.
fully focused, and we're going to take care of the chip.
This is true.
I'm not acknowledging the Dodgers about this. I'm sorry, I can't.
If the Dodgers get Juan Soto, I will not watch baseball next year.
Oh yeah, we're boycotting.
I will not watch baseball.
If he winds up there, we're boycotting the
I
entire
need to
season.
find a new hat to wear, but
No, we're not even going to cover the Rumble Ponies. No, there will be no baseball talk on here next year if that happens. Mark my words. But one thing we will always talk on here is wrestling. And
Yeah, we will.
It's been a little crazy time in the WWE. We won't spend a lot of time recapping because it's been a month since the last time we've really chatted about it. If you really want to get the deep dives on that, Wrestling Night Live every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Nerd Initiative. But the two key elements that have been going around the WWE I really want to bring attention to. One, we have the first women's mid-card title.
yes.
Getting announced. The U.S. title is going to be taking place.
Is that title the exact same design as the men's?
Yes.
Okay. I kept looking at it and I couldn't tell.
Yeah, no, it looks
Okay.
very similar if it's not an exact duplicate.
Okay.
Which I'm all right with.
Yeah. Hey,
and
Chelsea Green.
yeah,
I'm going to say right now, give it to Chelsea Green.
listen, that whole division is so stacked.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I said it wrong. Chelsea Green.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with anybody you give it to there.
No.
So I'm kind of hoping it's Mishin.
Oh, I'd be all right with that.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
But I want to
yeah.
see like how everything matches up. But just the fact we're getting a title for that women's division is amazing. So
Or Lyra Valkyria.
Hey.
Might be a little early, but I like the work she's been doing.
yeah, I was gonna say definitely want to see some brackets and get that all lined up.
Yeah.
I don't have that in front of me right now, so we're just gonna go with that. But just the fact we're getting a women's mid card title is amazing and
Yes.
long overdue. Long overdue.
Yes.
The other one, obviously, we're heading into War Games.
Hell yeah, baby.
So the Bloodline storyline is picking back up, and we now have Sami Zayn back with the Bloodline. It's a very uneasy one. I should say the
That was
OTC
great.
one.
Yes. No, that's little storyline on Friday for SmackDown was phenomenal.
Yeah, the teasing that he was going to flip and then didn't. And then
Walked out on him. Came back in because bring out my boy Sami Zayn. Go ahead, kick him. You know what he did to you. You know how much he hates you. Go ahead, kick him. Well, he kicked him. Just he didn't kick Roman.
Yeah. So they definitely set that up, and now they're looking for a fifth member.
Yep.
I have seen some spoiler footage because WWE is taping their shows for the holiday week. Which
They did a double
kudos to them for doing that.
Triple H loves families. What?
Yeah. So I am definitely all for this. So I know there's some spoiler talk out there, so I won't dive into any speculation.
I like it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I like if what I saw was true, I definitely like it. I like the fact that we're going to have a women's War Games match.
Well, but yeah.
So I'm excited about that. So I think they're really amping up for the last of the big pay-per-views for 2024. So we'll definitely have some exciting times because after that we start the road to the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And then it's WrestleMania season, so there's a lot of moving parts going on
So,
that.
yeah, because after War Games, it's you got NXT Deadline, you got Saturday Night Main Event going on, and then after that, it's a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, so they'll be doing a lot of big pushes going towards WrestleMania in Las Vegas next year. But this is always going to be a good one. War Games is always an amazing show.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
And then remember what happened last year? We all seem to forget. CM Punk came back.
That's true.
So,
Christ, it's been a year already.
yep.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that next time when we got a little more time to really deep dive into that. But, I mean, I think overall that's what's been hitting me. Pat, I don't know about you.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the other interesting thing I would say has been the kind of like fraying, unraveling, if you will, of the New Day with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods coming up on the I don't know when it is. I know they said on Monday Night Raw, it's the next couple of weeks they're going to be having a 10-year anniversary thing for them, which you know how special celebrations on WWE programming typically run.
Yeah.
Big E, save us now.
Yeah, that's something
I like the storyline though. It's long, it's drawn out, but I don't hate it because it's not like the same wash, rinse, repeat. It's kind of like a little tug and pull.
Yeah. I am just very curious to see about if we don't get a surprise. I mean, I know Big E has said that the doctors have not cleared him yet.
He's been noticeably silent on it lately, though.
Yeah, so you never know. I mean, obviously, positive thoughts and energy.
Oh,
for
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, whatever energy can go there, definitely we put there. But but as long as he's healthy and
Yeah.
good, that's the major
Yeah.
thing. So if he can't come back and wrestle, that's fine. But we'll have to wait to see how that shapes
Yeah.
up. But that's been a great storyline going on too. Judgment Day has been real fun as well.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Final Testament Miz stuff has been good.
I'm interested with the Judgment Day stuff. I'm interested to see what happens with Finn Balor because, boy, that guy's playing like 5D chess.
Yeah.
And you cannot tell me otherwise.
Yeah, no, they're definitely setting up for something big there.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but definitely in tune for that. And we'll just have to watch as it goes through the holiday season right to War Games. So definitely make sure you're locked to here and, of course, Wrestling Night Live, where we'll be really examining what's going on because a lot of big things are happening. Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan, Full Gear with AEW,
Yeah.
and then obviously the Brody Awards are going to be taking place too as well. And a certain comic show award will be taking place as well. We'll talk about that at some other time. But that being said, for anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's it for sports this week. So for the one and only Padawan J,
Fuck the Astros.
it's always great hearing that. I have to admit, I have to take a moment on that. My name is Ken. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. 'Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time swiping left and swiping right on people you could know.